a bit rude.
I love a rude card.
I know. Yeah, there's lots of F words in there.
Welcome to another episode of The Wilderness of Creativity. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to have Ina, the BEO of BelieVA Business Support, joining me. Ina specialises in connecting neurodivergent business owners with the perfect team to help them grow and scale their business. She's on a mission to find the right fit for her clients, believing that the right people can make all the difference in our success. In this episode, we explore the power of creating a platform that brings creatives together, the importance of finding joy in our work, and Ina's inspiring journey from the corporate world to embracing her creative passions. Right, let's get to the episode. Everyone needs an F word every now and again.
Oh no, but I love them. They're so much fun. So sometimes I'm just like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's the energy I'm going to go into the world with.
Life is about having fun, isn't it?
Yes.
Having that sense of playfulness and curiosity and that sense of humour. It just does. It's just so needed every now and again, isn't it? Because life can be so serious when you're busy adulting. How do you sort of have fun? Like, what inspires you? What motivates you to get up in the morning?
Weirdly enough, now that I'm self-employed, my job, it's really, I mean, I've always been an early riser, so I'm always usually up around 5. It used to be 7, but then we had dogs and they obviously, wake you up crazy clock, no matter what time it is, even on a Sunday. But yeah, I don't mind that much. But I'm excited every day to come into my little throne room here and have fun with my clients, because we do have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If I can't laugh at my job, because I've been in corporate for way too long. And yeah, I try to have fun there, but you always kind of beat down a little bit there, because there's always some drama happening. Whereas now I don't have that, no office politics here, unless I'm talking to a little Grogu up there. But
I see him up there.
but yeah, being happy with what I do and having fun with my clients and having a bit of banter here and there but still getting the work done. But now I have fun, and I don't mind sitting here for maybe 10 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
When there's a big project on, there might be 12 hours, but I don't mind it because I enjoy it so much, and it lights me up. And then having the flexibility to do other things in between. So, for example, yesterday I packed my stuff up at 11 o'clock and went into Glasgow to meet someone that contacted me on LinkedIn, wanted to talk about neurodiversity. So I was like, oh yeah, cool, I'll go in. And she was in this really cool office, so I explored that a little bit, and there was lots of sensory things in there, which was great. And then met a client in town, and or if I need some energy, I have my paint over there, I can start painting. So it's just, the flexibility I have now, it's just like, so much fun.
And I think when you are creative, you need that sense of freedom. Talk to me about Grogu, because what role does he play in the business? Because I'm intrigued.
He makes people laugh when they talk to me on Zoom, because especially when it's a first timer, and they see Grogu up there, and they see my little octopus, and and obviously all the plants that I have, and depending on the angle, they might see my bumblebee bum over there, and
yeah.
So there's just all these different, things, and it makes people laugh. And well, we started watching The Mandalorian, my husband and I, and I'm a sucker for little figurines and things, as you can probably tell from the back of my desk. And so he arrived, I think, for my birthday or for Christmas at one day, and he actually makes a noise. So sometimes I go and chat with him and then water the plants. Yeah, it makes people laugh, and he makes me happy when I see him lurking with his rose.
It's so interesting, isn't it? All those little things that we have around in our environment to just spark some inspiration, or just to ground us and just bring us back to the moment. I tend to have a lot of books, but I also have my Buddhas, I have candles, I have my "You Got This" card. All those little things that help us. So there's so much that I want to talk to you about. Firstly, I guess I want to talk to you about your business and how you work with your clients. So
BelieVA.
BelieVA Business Support.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me a little bit about how you set up BelieVA and what you provide for people who you are working with, because I think our listeners would be really intrigued by that.
So BelieVA actually only was incorporated this year because my previous business name was a different one. But BelieVA came to me last year at some point and ingrained itself in my brain and didn't want to let go. And whereas my previous business name is still close to my heart, and BelieVA is powered by Savannah Rose, which was my previous business name. So it felt right when I took the next step in my business because I was a sole trader with Savannah Rose, but BelieVA is now a limited company, which was exciting because I had to, because my accountant was like, either you start paying VAT or we incorporate. I was like, yeah, let's incorporate and kick that can down the road a little bit because it's VAT is a lot of responsibility. And now I have to register for it at the end of the year. I'm like, oh, no, don't want to. But hey, yeah, so I started out about 3 years ago as a general VA. So just doing admin for anybody that needed admin support. But I kind of fell into the neurodivergent territory a little bit by accident, maybe, but I quickly figured out that I'm actually quite good at that. At least my clients seem to think so. So, and it's a very different ball game. I mean, the majority of my clients are neurodivergent now. I still have some neurotypical clients, but it gives me a lot of joy helping them through, you know, any struggles that they have and picking up the stuff that they really dislike, usually like, doing their bookkeeping, just
Yes.
keeping top of invoices, numbers, and neurodivergence usually doesn't go hand in hand. And just sitting with them because I do a lot of body doubling, which essentially means that we sit together like the two of us on a Zoom call or face to face. I actually had one face to face yesterday, and just depending on what's needed on that day, just go through things. Sometimes it's just talking through an idea or getting things done together. I had a client that I got a bill from Sky, I think, to I get fined if I don't send the equipment back. And I was like, right, why haven't you sent it back yet? But ADHD, demand avoidance and all that fun stuff that comes with it. She was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, right, I'm here. Go get the equipment and go get the box. She walked away, got the equipment, got the box, put everything in the box, put everything away. I was like, right, go online and do the post office thing. And so they pick it up. Done. Next day it was picked up. And sometimes it's just those little things, especially for neurodivergent folk.
Yeah.
They just need that little, okay, hand on the back, just that little extra nudge. And yeah, and I love doing that. I can do that all day, every day.
What do you find that are some of the challenges, the more common challenges that neurodivergent people experience on a day-to-day basis? Because I can imagine it being quite challenging.
I mean, it starts with the simplest things. Administration. For a lot of my clients, it's their worst nightmare. Filling out forms, just simply looking at their inbox. Usually when I first take over somebody's inbox, it's an absolute horror show. And I love it. It's so much fun. Seriously. And seeing and feeling the joy of my clients then when they come in and say, oh, my inbox has never been this organized or has never been this empty, and thank you for picking this up. And if there's a deadline coming up, there's a lot of demand avoidance that comes, and I mentioned that before, but it is a huge issue for a lot of my ADHD clients. I have that as well. I mean, if somebody tells me you need to do that, or, if I get a letter from or a text message from Bupa that I need to call them for something, have I done that? No. Should I? Yes. Is it going to be an issue? Not at all. It's just, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. For some reason, it just happens. But it gives me so much joy when things get done. When I can help my clients through that. I check in it always depends on my clients, With some clients, I check in every morning. It's like, hey, how's it going? What's happening today? Do you need me to do anything? Is there any priorities for you? And then I can check in again at the end of the day and say, okay, these were your priorities. Have you done them? So that gives them a little bit of a sense of accountability, which helps a lot, and it makes me happy. I'm an empath, so for me, getting that feeling and their happiness that something is done makes me happy. And we started this conversation with what makes you get up in the morning, and that is exactly it.
What was your other life like?
My old life.
Your old life, because I think I've
life.
experienced different lives as well.
Yeah.
In some ways, but what?
So I've been an admin since I've been a kid, really. My mom was the OG secretary, right? So she was the proper, old school in the front office of her bosses, sitting there typewriting kind of admin person. And we had this big old typewriter at home. Remember those?
Yeah, I do.
Where you literally had to use two
my grandma
fingers.
had one. Yeah.
So, and I was as a kid always typing on that. Obviously, it was complete nonsense, but handed it to my mom and my dad, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is very good." And of course it wasn't, but and then when it came to working, it was like, okay, what can I do? And my mother, in her infinite wisdom, of course, said admin. I was like, okay, fine, So I did that, and I was an admin all my career. But I went through different types. So I started out as a, exec assistant, then went into office management, then went into customer service, into operations, finance. So I was in a lot of different companies and a lot of different departments. So I learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
And the last probably 15 years, I've been a manager in various companies, which then helped me again with people management and looking at things from a different perspective, especially in my last job in operations. You look at things from a higher perspective to see, okay, where can we improve processes and all of these things. And you don't just look at, okay, this is my task, this is what I'm going to do, but you look at it as a whole, a whole process, essentially. That's why, rather than just being a VA, I do a lot of business support as well. So we look at solving the problem rather than just doing the task, because sometimes it is just doing the task. Cleaning out an inbox is just doing a task. However, if you're looking at the process as a whole, saying, okay, what am I actually doing here? Why are these emails coming in? Do we need to do something extra with? Can we automate it? So it's all these extra steps that we can do to make our lives easier, especially nowadays with automation and AI and all of these fun things. A lot of people are scared of it. I'm embracing it because it makes my life easier.
And I think, as somebody who is, working full time, I have a small family, I am doing the podcast, on the side, those little things that you're talking about make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that my systems are streamlined, that I have some sense of control over the processes that are going on, because then it allows me to be creative and I can get on with the stuff that I really do want to do. So I think, having that sense of the bigger picture is so important. Can you talk to me a little bit about your day-to-day? So how do you find your creative flow? Because this is something that I'm really trying to tap into and understand. And that might link to finding your creative flow when it came to writing your chapter for Beyond the Ordinary. Because there are so many interruptions in life.
Oh, yes. I know. And you know what? I'm going with the interruptions. I'm going with the flow now. So I embrace the interruptions because sometimes when I feel overwhelmed or I'm just like, I need a minute, I'll just go on TikTok for 10 minutes. Okay, 20, let's be honest here. And just be interrupted.
Nobody's on there just for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's never just 10 minutes. I mean, 10 minutes is like 3 videos. You're never just doing that. But it is going with the flow, right? So I do have I have a routine, right? I like routine, but I also like having a bit of a flexible routine. But it always kind of goes in the same flow. So I usually get up in the morning, go for a walk, or go to the gym. That's my first thing that I do, every morning without fail, unless you know, I'm ill or something. But I need to go outside in the air or work out just to get my body up and running. then then make myself a cup of tea, go behind my desk, do my own thing first, organizing myself before I start my client day. Because if I don't do that first, don't answer my own emails, they're just not going to get done because
Mm.
things can happen really quickly. Usually I just work away, but then client calls or another client calls or somebody WhatsApps me because I give all my client a choice in how they want to communicate with me. Though, so that can be mostly by WhatsApp because it's easy, or email or calling me. But if they're calling me, I tell them I might not answer because I'm in another call or I'm just busy with something else. But yeah, and then my day just kind of flows into client work. But oh yeah, another part of my routine in the mornings is when it's still dark, lighting my candles or lighting my incense and, just maybe even meditating for 10 minutes before I start. I don't do it every day as religiously as I probably want to, but I do it.
It is just about going with the flow and accepting that some days you do that thing that you were going to do, meditation, for example, and sometimes you don't. But do you find that when you do prioritize those things, that you can tap into your creativity a little bit more?
Yes, without a doubt.
Mm.
If I give myself the space to breathe and just to say, okay, these are my boundaries. For us women, our hormones play a huge part in how our month is going. So some days you're super productive, you're firing out the work, you finish at 4 o'clock and you're like, yes, I'm going to go for another walk or I'm going to meditate, I'm going to clean the house. And then other days you're like, oh my God, make it stop.
I was talking to another guest of mine, Jo Cone. She is a dance artist, and she was talking about the importance of rest, being still, being quiet, or even rest, going for a walk, meeting up with friends, whatever it is, whatever that rest looks like for you, I think is such an important part of it. How did you come to be involved with the collaboration with Mandy and Beyond the Ordinary? Because it just sounds so amazing.
So funnily enough, I met Mandy probably about 2 years ago. We
Ah,
met networking because she's in Scotland, I'm in Scotland. So, we met networking and she was lovely. And oh my God, I was like, "Oh, if I ever can afford a coach, I want you to be my coach, So, and
well, there's a recommendation and a half.
I know she's brilliant. I mean, at least for the thing is, you need to find somebody that works for your brain, and she works for my brain. and and about 6 months later, she actually became my client. So first of all, she became my client, and now I'm her client. So we're each other's client, which is pretty brilliant. and and then the opportunity came up. She told me about the book, and I was like, "Well, I totally want to be involved in that because I
Yeah.
want to tell my story, and and how I got to from this kind of 9 to 5 to where I'm now, and the happiness it brings, and the difficulty, the challenges I had to go through in between for me to transition to this life. Because I have to say, the last 4 years, or like the first 2 years during COVID, have been an absolute horror show for me, and there was a lot going on in my life that wasn't pretty, and but that put me on this path of I don't want to go back to this 9 to 5. I want to do something that matters to me and that matters to others, and that's how I got here. And sorry, I kind of sidetracked there.
No, no, it's fine. I mean, COVID was a huge moment in a lot of people's lives, and it really did shift a lot of people's mindsets, priorities. I think anyone who is brave enough to take a different path is just an incredible inspiration. I really do.
And also finding the more creative side of me, because I never thought I was a creative. And it was like everybody's a creative. I was like, okay.
I
And
think a lot of people feel like that, don't they?
mhm. And actually, the chapter that I've written in the book, I started writing this chapter last year. I did a creative writing course last year, because I always, well, let me go back about 10 years or so, because me and my friends were playing a card game. I think it's Game of Life or something, like, I can't remember. But one of the questions was, so you ask a lot of questions like, who in the group does this X, Y, Z? And one question was, who in the group will write a book without telling anyone? And everybody in our friends group wrote down my name, and I was like, okay. And it stuck with me, and it was always in the back of my mind. So I always remembered that. And then this creative writing course came up from the I think North Lanarkshire College it was, and I did that and it was a 12-week online course, which was great. And then I started writing, and I started writing that chapter. And then I didn't write it any further, you know. But and then this opportunity came up, and I always wanted to write a book. But life, again, as you know yourself, life is busy, and it's like, yes, when am I going to write this book at midnight? I don't know. But then this chapter, I was like, right, okay, that's a start. Let me do that first. And it ignited again my writing, my lust for writing. So I'm still writing a little bit more every day, and I'm painting. I started painting when I was at a retreat at Mandy's, and so I started painting, came back from the retreat, went to the range, bought all the paint
Everything in
supplies.
the range.
I know. And yeah, so it's those two creative sides, and I've realized how much doing something creative frees up your brain and opens up new pathways in your brain. That when I was at her retreat, we painted in the mornings, did something creative, and then in the afternoon we worked on the business, and it was like, oh yeah, I can do this and this and this, and all these little things were flaring up in your brain, and it's just great, and I make a point of continuing to do that, because I want to keep that creative side alive, because it gives me so many more ideas and it lights me up.
You feel inspired, you feel motivated, you feel empowered, you share that with your clients. They then feel the same way, and it ripples out, doesn't it? It's beautiful. So are you painting anything at the moment? What are you working on?
I've just started a painting, which is at the moment just the road and some
Ooh.
mountains. And I don't know where this is gonna lead yet. It was a nice day.
Literally and metaphorically.
I know, right? We had like a little Indian summer earlier this week, so it was lovely and warm, and so I was like, right, I'm just gonna go and sit outside for half an hour, and I just started painting like clouds and mountains, and then I was like, let me put a road in there, and then because the last thing I painted was pretty abstract, and besides the bumblebee bum, but everything else was pretty abstract. So, and then I tried to paint something that wasn't, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really good at that.
Mm.
So, but I want to try some different things and see where it ends up,
Mm.
and it teaches myself some patience, because
Ah.
I'm not a very patient person. It's not one of my virtues. So painting and looking at a painting and waiting for the paint to dry, literally, um, and then adding something to it or taking something away, because that's the beauty of working with paint. You can just paint over it if you don't like it.
What type of paint do you use?
Acrylic. I do have some water paint as well, some watercolors as well. But mainly work with acrylics at the moment. So I'm still kind of exploring where I'm gonna go with it all. So yeah, it's exciting.
When you've talked a little bit about the Beyond the Ordinary, and you keep mentioning you writing this story of yours, are you planning on writing your book then in the next few years?
Yes, I actually wanted to write one this year, but my business just kind of took off a little bit more than I expected, which is a great thing. I'm not complaining. I'm ever so grateful to all of my clients and all of the people that kind of come to me. So I got a little bit sidetracked. But then this opportunity with Mandy came along. So I thought, yeah, okay, that's a great start. So let me at least write one chapter.
Absolutely. And do you have a title for the book?
For my book, no. Oh, yeah. Not yet.
No, not yet.
It'll come.
It'll come to you. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. The thing is, though, I actually want to write two books. I want to write a fiction book and I want to write a nonfiction book. So the nonfiction is obviously going to be a bit of a biography, but I also want to write a fiction book because during my creative writing, I also started writing that side of things. So it's like, okay, which one do I do first?
Well, yeah, which one do you do first? But definitely do both, because I think, those little sparks of inspiration are so important. We need to listen to those. So if people want to find BelieVA, where can they find you, my lovely? Where can they find you?
Pretty much everywhere. I'm mainly, so I'm on Instagram and on Facebook. I have a website, so BelieVA.co.uk. So BelieVA is with double E, so two B's, so BeelieVA.co.uk. So LinkedIn, just Ina Jeffrey. That's just where you can find me. BelieVA website, Facebook, Insta, and I actually also have a Facebook group for neurodivergent business owners where they can connect and have community and ask questions and get support. So I have that one as well. So if you look for BelieVA on Facebook, you can definitely find me.
Do you want to do You Got This?
Yes, let's do it.
So I'm going to shuffle them, and then whenever you're ready, if you just want to say stop, and I'll just take the top card, and we'll see what it says, see what the universe is saying to us. So the card that's come up for you is there is no traffic jam on the extra mile.
Oh,
I like that.
I like that.
There is no traffic jam on the extra mile. What does that card say to you?
Yeah, because everything, I believe everything is full circle, and what you bring out in the world or what you give out in the world, you will get back tenfold, so it is about giving back some days, and some days you just jump on a call with somebody and without charging them because, they just need a minute of your time and just to talk something through. And I'm always here for that, because people helped me. People took the time to, answer my questions without, even any hesitation, because running a business is a journey and you need a village, especially if you're just starting out. I mean, I started out literally in my mid-40s running a new business. It's like, I never had to think about all of those things that I have to think about now before, and it's like, it blows your mind when I have somebody that asks me those questions. I'm gonna take the time to answer it. Of course I will, because I had the same kindness given to me.
Thank you for listening today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please take a moment to subscribe and leave us a review. As you reflect on today's episode, I wanted you to consider the following. What sparks joy in your own work, and how can you seek that out more actively? Have you experienced a turning point in your career, and how did that shape your path towards creativity? In what ways can you foster collaboration and support within your own communities or workplace? Remember that the journey towards joy in work is a continuous one, and sometimes the most unexpected connections can lead to extraordinary opportunities. Until next time, stay wild.